This is a clip from the Red Cow Arcade podcast.
Can I talk about the South Park concert?
I saw it too. So.
Oh, you did? Oh, good. Did you love it?
It was awesome. It's just like those two, Trey and Matt. It's just like they're so talented and they're like natural showmen. And just like it's just a glorious celebration of their career, basically, because they did songs from Cannibal.
We were like 20 years old, and with a bunch of friends in college, we made a musical called Alpha Packer the Musical.
Finished off with America Fuck Yeah and
Uncle Fucker. Like these are songs that have like really stood the test of time and are like a major part of the culture. America Fuck Yeah might be the biggest one of all. Matt Stone put it well one time. He's like, Trey's a really good songwriter. You take America Fuck Yeah, it's at the exact same time. It's equal parts parody of patriotism and it's self-patriotic.
yeah, I just love it. He's like, let's at the end. It's like, it's ready for the national anthem. Get ready.
We forgot to sing the national anthem. Yeah, so it made me feel a lot. It made me very emotional. Like it really like because these guys, Trey and Matt, when I saw Cannibal the Musical, I talk about it a lot, but it's true. There's watching these guys from Colorado in 1995 make a movie, there just wasn't anything like it. Now a million people have done that, but with their friends singing silly songs with really inventive comedy, like Let's Build a Snowman. How did he make that tapping sound with his feet in the snow? And there's gore, but the gore the gore clashes with the tone comically and it works. And they've all got fake beards and that just adds to it. It was the first time I ever saw through the production, saw the people on the other side having fun making it. And that enhanced the whole thing. That made it go from a $100,000 movie to a $100 million movie in my view, because of the energy. And so that led to Trauma, that led to South Park, that led to, everything that set me on my path, for better or worse. Like there's definitely times I look back and think that like, maybe I took too many cues from South Park, or maybe I, whatever, but have I always enjoyed South Park responsibly? But
that's like with anybody who's making art, sometimes you imitate who you like too much and then you grow and you get your own voice.
Yeah. It's like 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to rip off Twilight and then make it hornier somehow. So, yeah. But I'll say this, I've always loved South Park, and the first few seasons, especially, like I would download them, in real media files all night to download 30 meg and stuff. And I bought a burner just to get them off my hard drive so I could keep them all. So I was making a DVD collection, before they would release an entire series on DVD. It was the first time ever that I collected an entire show. Before that, it was like you caught it on TV and maybe you at some point or another have seen all the episodes, but that would only happen by circumstance. This was like, no, I'm collecting every episode and I rewatch every one of them until the next one comes out. There was a time when I could recite to you like every single word of the Mr. Hanky one when I was a kid. It just, I don't know, man. It planted a seed where like I was going along just being a normal kid, and then Trey and Matt happened and I went this way. They just woke something up in me creatively. So despite loving South Park for all those years, all of their non-South Park stuff always captured my imagination a lot more. Cannibal, obviously I talked about. Orgasmo, I think that Orgasmo is funny enough and that their acting is funny enough that if South Park hadn't taken off, they hadn't gotten the pilot or whatever, I think that movie would have, because it kind of did lead directly to basketball as far as I can understand. I think that would have launched their careers. There's enough there, don't you think, to be like, okay, there's some like real comedic talent and
I mean, I think Trey in all the movies has a good even like on stage during the thing. He knows how to like play with the audience and take the audience on a journey, even as like a dumpy middle-aged man. but when he was younger, he had a lot of charisma then too. And
even his dumpiness he figured out a way to make the dumpiness kind of charismatic. I like, he's just kind of like his wife or ex-wife, the mother of his child. She posts on Instagram a lot, and it's very strange because he's not a particularly public figure. They don't conduct themselves all that publicly, despite their massive success. And so it's really weird to just have this person posting these Instagram videos of him walking around with his daughter, like at their like, you know, like horse races and stuff. But yeah, he if you saw him in public, I mean, you'd recognize him, but you'd also be like, leave him alone. He just has a total, like, I'm just a Colorado dad vibe about him.
Yeah.
He's wearing like a big baggy shirt, and you can't tell that he's worth $1 billion. He's got houses everywhere. But yeah, there was also this like Fox Kids deal that they got where they made 2 episodes. Essentially, it was, can you make Cannibal into a Fox Kids show about history? And it was called Time Warped. And they did an episode about Aaron and Moses, and they did an episode about it's Romeo and Juliet, but with an Australopithecus and Homo erectus. It's called Rom and Jewel. It's very funny. It's Matt Stone dressed as an Australopithecus, and he has this like obnoxious voice the whole time. Or the joke is that he can't commit anything to memory. He's very stupid. It just the comedy works really well. Matt Stone is, I think, a hilarious performer.
Oh yeah, he's
like,
great.
The Dave the Lighting guy from Orgasmo. Everybody say Geddy Lee. Geddy Lee, best bass player ever. Come on.
Geddy Lee, best bass player ever. Come on.
Yeah, and I love when he was just performing Butters on stage too. It's like he just really gets into it. And
it was so cool that they had the pitch shift mic, so it could actually sound like something.
Yeah, it was like a little bit off, but it sounded just enough, especially with
some of the time it sounded perfect, and some of the time it sounded a little, like it was not quite pitched up enough. But it was for a live performance.
It was awesome. I mean, it was amazing.
Going down South Park, going to see if I can and why.
Yeah, so for those who didn't see it, they're fans of Matt in particular is a huge fan of Rush, and I know that like they've had South Park clips at Rush concerts and stuff. So they're friends with those guys. They had Primus up there, they had Ween up there, and Trey, I guess, scheduled this big surprise for Matt to celebrate it, where he got to be the drummer for Rush for one song, and their drummer Neil died, a little while ago, and so they haven't. So it was not only a cool South Park moment, it was actually a Rush reunion song, and so it was this huge cultural moment if you're the right person.
Yeah, no, it was. I remember it went viral on Reddit and stuff too.
Some people were pissed. They were like, "You can't have Matt be Neil,"
Yeah, but it's in the moment it's sweet because it's like a gift, it's a surprise,
and they always play it like like we have respect for each other, we have this long-standing partnership, but they kind of always played it like, but we're not like hanging out all the time, we don't really, it's mostly a business relationship at this point and stuff. And they're kind of cool policey. South Park gets criticized for this, like South Park tried to make it cool to not care about anything, and I think that's there's definitely a bit of that, that's a valid criticism. Of course, I think it makes for good comedy. Yeah. To be a little bit nihilistic, to have a little bit of that anarchy, I think is nice.
Yeah, no, even like some of the old bits, the old songs in this special, it's like, oh, they just are singing that again. Like it feels out of place in this time period,
right?
But they'll just
like
go
Gay
for
Fish
it.
or something.
Yeah,
right.
Oh yeah, Gay Fish and the Lemmy Winks and stuff. It's
right.
Like,
yeah.
It's a little weird nowadays, but
yeah, I was totally thinking. I was like, is this just grandfathered in?
Yeah, I think so. I think they are just like whatever.
Like, look, it's yeah. Lemmy Winks is already part of the zeitgeist. We're gonna move forward with him. Having like a guy up there going, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
It's great.
Like, wow.
I like when when Trey does the voice of the frog, he like stretches his like face.
My face, Lemmy Winks. This is gonna sound really weird. It's gonna sound like parasocial and like, okay, Frankie, get a life. Like, love other people who aren't celebrities, right? Hearing Trey be like, hey, Matt, like, happy anniversary. I love you. Here's a really cool gift to you with Rush. Like, it was like a weight off my shoulders. I know that sounds so weird, but it felt like, cause I've just been following these guys since I was a kid, and I've never really seen either of them truly show gratitude for one another. And they owe each other a lot of gratitude, I think. Like,
Most of all, I want to thank my partner, Matt. I want to say happy anniversary, man. I love you.
Yeah, and that usually turns into like some like horse shit. But no, it was just a great thing.
I was like, oh man, that's so great. Like maybe I like many people, I'm just craving a little bit of sincerity right now. And
Yeah, I think so.
I love those guys, but they've never been my source of sincerity.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like it's like as creatives, as lifetime business partners, and
Yeah.
it feels good to know that they are not just like, I don't know. It's like with the stories, like with, I don't know, Penn and Teller, that they don't really like hang out or do anything after
I think they tell those stories like it's cool. Like it's like, oh, I bet you didn't know that we actually don't talk at all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like totally all business, and we don't, whatever. But it feels a little different with here.
But they, at some point, I guess after basketball, I don't know, they stopped doing live action performance. Like they just completely went animation and puppets. And I always was like really was upset about that, because I love that early stuff so much and it was so good. That's why I like Time Warped, even if it's like a little lo-fi, it's worth treasuring because it captures some of that. There was a while there where if they were ever on a talk show, I never missed it, because there's always some theatrics. There was like an episode of Jimmy Kimmel where Trey farted on Lorenzo Lamas. Like he got up and farted on him, and the whole thing just gets out of hand, and I love it. I thought maybe they feel like they're too old. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they just don't have aspirations to be actors. Book of Mormon's the best you're going to get. They'll still stand up like a live action performance, but they won't be involved. Trey does like a voice at the beginning of Book of Mormon. It's like Joseph Smith. It does like a Trey Parker voice.
A great prophet is leader of the Nephite people in ancient upstate New York.
All these years later, to see them up on a stage to not a dinky audience. I mean, this is an epic, it's Red Rocks in Colorado. Like they're projecting things onto mountaintops. It is so cool.
Yeah. And they're both playing instruments and like getting into it. And Matt playing the ukulele as Butters and stuff like that. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
A lot of people didn't know that they were, I guess, hopefully most people knew they were musically inclined. They wrote one of the most successful musicals of all time. Yeah.
And Cannibal the Musical, obviously.
Right. All the music in Team America, all the music in South Park. But I don't think people knew that like that Matt Stone was a drummer, and I guess most people never heard of DVDA, their band. I thought their music set was really good too. The rock version of Brian Boitano has always been one of my favorites.
Oh, that was awesome.
We used to play that at track. Like on somebody's last lap, you'd blow out like, I never seen a man eat so many chicken wings.
No, it's a great performance. If you have any love of South Park, even if you haven't seen like every single season ever, it's like you're gonna find something that you love. The performances are just so enjoyable. I love the little story about the intro music.
That was so good.
They had the evolution. They told that story live on stage, which is really great.
Yeah, there's the credits at the end of every episode, is just the musical part of the original song that they sent over. So they repurposed that for the end credits. But if you've ever watched the unaired pilot, which was the one that Cartman Gets an Anal Probe, where every single scene was animated by them with construction paper. They then later cut it down for time, and they augmented some of the scenes with digital animation. And then the second episode on was all digital animation. But the first one they did with construction paper. There's a really, really slow intro that is that original song where he's like, I'm going down the South Park, gonna have myself a time. And the boy sounds sedated, like friendly faces.
Gonna have myself a time.
Friendly faces everywhere, humble folks without temptation.
Loved every second of it. Loved that they actually, they even seemed like they were having a good time. They weren't too, like they seemed touched by the crowd. They were leaning into the crowd. If you have Paramount Plus, all one or two of you. Oh yeah. Some people are confused about this. Let me clear it up really quick in case you're out there and no one's ever explained this. Paramount is owned by Viacom. Viacom owns, I think that's still the parent company.
Yeah.
Owns MTV, Comedy Central, all this other VH1, all this other stuff. They own a ton. But so like, that's why it's Paramount Plus, is because it's part of this big conglomerate. That, you know, they're not like MGM owned by Amazon or what, you know, HBO owned by Warner, etc. You know, you can't have them. They're not gonna have a streaming service for Comedy Central, and they're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So therefore, you would think like, well, Paramount Plus is going to have to insist on having South Park on a streaming platform, right? Because if it wants to compete, somehow they fucked it up, because we've talked about it on the podcast before. Those guys were able to negotiate for the streaming rights, for online distribution rights, like in 2006, before streaming platforms were a thing, before online media was in any way monetizable. It was just kind of like a chip that Comedy Central gave them. And now they basically, as far as I understand, they have carte blanche to sell South Park for streaming rights to whoever they want, which it now is all rights, effectively, all that matter. So they sold to HBO Max for like $500 million, despite it being outside of the parent company. And then I think what happened was Paramount was like, no, we can't have you. We got to have some South Park on our platform. And so they, as part of their renewal contract for the show, they said like, can you make Paramount Plus, you know, exclusive movies for us, just so we can accumulate some exclusive South Park on our platform. So that's why it's split.
Yeah,
and they just got really rich
because especially because Beavis and Butthead has their movie on Paramount Plus and their show, but yeah, South Park just has their movies on there. No, yeah, it is.
People are confused about that for sure. Yeah, but and then the most recent movies they made were called Streaming Wars, where it's a joke about like, man, we're making too much content for too many streaming platforms is the whole joke. Yeah. When I log into Paramount Plus, it's like, would you like to watch Beavis and Butthead content, or would you like to watch South Park content? And that's it. It's like, there's nothing else here for you. Some shitty horror movies, maybe. So yeah, go check it out if you can. Somewhere. Oh, and if you can't, it seems like by the day the South Park Studios YouTube channel is uploading like each and every song. So just go watch.
Okay. Yeah.
Just go watch it on YouTube.
I think the night would be a big disappointment if we didn't thank our co-writer who passed away, Mr. Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormon religion. You did it, Joseph. You got the Tony.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.